name's Pierre and I will be reading the interview of a kids TV creative director, no name given, dated October 26, 2011. Hey. No, I've only been here 24 hours. Do you want to hear my story? I've been unemployed for about a year and a half now. I had a major medical situation for a 1 month period, maybe out of like 5 months in my entire life when I didn't have health insurance. I shattered my shoulder in 5 places. Spent 65 grand in savings, spent a year and a half, then went right afterwards. My mother had a stroke. So I went to Florida and I took care of her for a few months. Came back here, then sent out thousands of resumes. Unemployment, whole 9 yards. My business, what I do is I'm a creative director for kids television. So a lot of that is migrated to other places where they fund it. If you turn on PBS here or Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, or any other networks, you'll see a majority of shows at the end that have a little stamp on it that say CMF, the Canadian Media Fund. The Canadian government provides up to 40% of funding for children's television, and so much of kids animation has been leaving the US, going to Canada, going to the Philippines, going to Japan, going to all those different places, because it's not subsidized here. When my company closed, 150 people were employed there. Gone. About half of the animators moved to Canada because they could get work there. And it's really kind of sad because the most precious commodity we have as a country is our children's minds. And if we're not able to custom cater that in our own country, I don't know. It doesn't speak very highly of us as a country. For me, finance was the tipping point that brought me here. My situation was so bad and so bleak and so dark that I'm going to have to do something dramatic in the next, 24, 48 hours. I'd lost my apartment on the Upper East Side, all my stuff's in storage, and so I'm just surviving. Underneath me I've got my computer with all my kids' shows on it, my best stuff on it. Yeah, and that and my iPhone. If it wasn't for Steve Jobs, God rest his soul, I don't know what kind of activity I'd have in the world right now. We hold on to one of the few pieces that are really valuable, like our Apple tech. We have our priorities. Once you lose your Apple tech, then you're at a whole new level that you have to recover from. You can be homeless and hungry, but if you're homeless and hungry without your Apple tech, then you're really screwed. I've spoken with other people in the industry who are here and basically like, I'm here, I'm about to be homeless, about to be kicked out, and I wanted to come down and support other producers and stuff like that. So it's unbelievable, it's unreal. And I'm in a very specialized kind of situation, where there's not a huge population base of people do work in this field, and since you asked, so mine is a small pool of occupants in terms of the US in general, but as this broaches as the problem, the unemployment rate keeps getting larger and larger, and it affects pools that are much bigger in the kids' television than the kids' television pool. The consequences are going to be much more dynamic. And and we're saying that this is our own milder, tamer Arab Spring, And hopefully we can get enough attention without, violence to get Congress not to be so self-serving. Something's got to change in our political system. I'd like it to, I don't know, but I'm holding out hope. I've still got some hope in there. I'm a hopey, changey, feely kind of person. Occupy Wall Street, it's going to keep going indefinitely. It's going to keep going indefinitely. The heart and soul is jobs, the economy. We are the 99%, you are the 1%. That's the main movement. Of course, aside from that movement, you have all the fringe elements of people saying, I'm here for this or that, and all peace movements, if you look throughout history, have a bunch of different messages, but main core messages. So I think that's the key here. You've got to, wing nuts next to, geniuses here. Personal situations packed together like a moth to a flame, I see a lot of young, homeless people around. I'm I'm just feeling shame, disgust, beyond depression, all those things. It's like unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable I'm in the situation I'm in. Where a year and a half ago I had an over 6-figure salary job. I'm a caring, compassionate, tenacious, intelligent person. You know, I've spent my life helping other causes, and to be myself now as the one needing help, it's really difficult. And the fact that in the last 6 months, you know, my pride has really affected my ability to take help that I maybe should have or could have, you know, earlier. So, it's really bad. It's hard when a guy, too. I know it sounds stupid because it's tough on everybody, but for some reason, for me, it was really tough, you know, as a guy. Because as a guy, you feel like I'm the provider. I take care of things. In the past, that's what I've done for years. Send money to my family in Florida, you know. My mom's suffering. I had to keep her healthy and all these different things, so, you know, it's tough. You don't want to get yourself too emotional or upset, because then that doesn't keep you the ability to plow forward. But at the same time, the more your self-esteem is undermined by not having work, the more it makes it difficult for you to get work. And I never understood that before. I mean, I had an understanding of homeless people. I've always had massive compassion. I've had homeless people live in my house. When I lived on Venice Beach, California, I had homeless people literally live in my place and feed them. Have them for Thanksgiving and feed them all. You just never think the circle, you know, will come around to you, you know? What happens actually is that as the pieces just start to fall off the machine of your human life, you know, you lose your apartment like I did, your stuff goes into storage, or you lose your health insurance, all these pieces start to fall away. It's really tough to reconstitute them. It's tough to, you know, it's tough to gain the will to fight. I still have fighting spirit, but at times I'm so low, it's just like, fuck it, you know? I applied to everything. It's not like I was like, oh, I'm only gonna take creative director jobs. No, I applied to, you know, over 40 Walgreens. You know, I've applied to local places. I've done everything. I'm particularly in a weird spot, you know, being a 40-year-old guy who's a little bit out of that young, eager, new trainee role for a ground zero job, but my resume is too big even to show it to some places. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But having been a performer, I'm a SAG guy. I've done a ton of commercials in my life. Oh, yeah, I was a stand-up comedian. I used to work all the time at comedy clubs here in town. I've been on Conan O'Brien, Comedy Central. One of the very few white deaf comedy jam winners. Showtime's White Boys in the Hood, which taped like 3 or 4 years ago. You can find it online. But, not so funny. I don't feel like doing comedy now. Oh, they're doing a mic check. There's microphones here. The police aren't allowing any projected sound, so it's a communicative effort thing with mic check in order to get more people around to spread whatever the one central person is saying.